How steep of a roof can we put solar on? This is about as steep as it gets. It's about 40 degrees. I've got all the rail on and ready to do the panels. Pretty much have to use the harness in this situation as kind of like a abseiling equipment. Otherwise, you pretty much can't stand. You can stand on the edge of the rails, but you can't actually stand on the roof without the harness. Otherwise, you just slide down the roof.
Okay, so just going to talk through laying the panels. Just jumped up on the roof and then just sort out the harnesses. You don't want to have any trip hazards or anything in the way. You want everything to be as smooth as possible when you're putting the panels down. And so that's why I just got the other one out of the way, and that's why we moved the ladder out of the way as well, because it's just obviously it'd be in the way there. So here, I don't know, maybe it doesn't look that awkward, but it's extremely awkward. Like I don't know if you can tell, but I'm obviously leaning against the harness. That's what's holding me up. Because you can't, like I said, you can't actually stand on this roof. It's too steep. You just slide straight down it. So when I'm lifting those panels, I'm like leaning on it, and you're kind of balancing with the rope as you get the panel, and then you got to kind of keep leaning on it as you turn around, and then pull yourself up. And then that's why I was grab the rope as well on the way up, and obviously stand on the rails because they're like a steady point you can stand on. And after we've done those the first row, start the second row. You always do the furthest away row from where you are, so you don't have to go over the top of it. And also when you lay the panels, you want to lay them from the opposite end of the end that you want to start clamping them down and fixing them. So you're going to start fixing them from the right side, so that's why I started from the left side. So then when we go to clamp them down, they'll be in the right spots. They won't be in the way of each other. We won't have to move them around again and stuff around and waste time. It's like the most efficient way. Alright, so yeah, I've got them down now. Just resetting, putting the other harness down for my partner. That took about, I think it was about 10-15 minutes to get all those panels up. Usually that would only be about 3 or 4 minutes probably for that, maybe 5 minutes. If that was like a 30 degree or a 20 degree pitch instead of a 40 degree. And then actually to put the panels down, I think it took us about 45 minutes. Obviously this is sped up, this version, but yeah, usually you probably put them down in 10-15 minutes, 8 panels in this layout. Just because of the roof, it's just so difficult to work with. And when we clamp them down here, so you always start at the bottom one. So then once the bottom row is done, the next row you can just slide it on top, or just put it on top, like rest it. So it's just heaps easier. You don't have to hold them up and into place. And then to line them up, what I was just doing then is I usually like eye off all those little white lines that are on the panel. The one next to the rail, you just eye it up down to the far side of the rail. That's the best way to get it, I've found, to get them square. If you try to line it up with the ridges of the tin I found it's not as accurate because a lot of the time the tin's not really in square, and really it's the top of the panels is the part that needs to be square with the ridge cap, the top of the roof. So that's what someone's eyes are going to naturally look at. They're not really going to look at the left side or the right side, like to the gutter. It's always going to be the top in general. And I guess other roofs, a lot of times the side's not square anyway with the panels, and it's just the top that you're going off. So really you just want the top to be square. That's the most important thing. And if it's a tile roof, you can kind of just line it up with the tiles, like the edge of the tiles, so they're probably easier. It's probably easier to do them than tin, to just line it up. Alright, so we got the first row down. Then I'm just clipping them in there. All the panels have got clips underneath them, and then they just clip in at the top. So in this instance, with this layout, it's pretty standard. A row on top of another row. The panels on top are actually flipped, so they're kind of like upside down, you could say. And so their cables for them is like on the lower side, whereas the bottom row, the cables are on the upper side, so they're kind of right next to each other. So this way we can do like a loop, and it just saved extra time previous to this when we had the rail in and all the and the feet, and then we had to do the wiring. So you could have it so all the panels are up, but it takes more time because it's having to install heaps more wires, and obviously that costs more money as well in materials and time. So it's a little bit more time consuming to put the panels down, to install them when they're upside down, but it makes up for it with the time that you saved, not having to put all that extra cabling in. So yeah, we're almost finished here. Last panel. It's actually, yeah, it probably really doesn't look difficult or anything, but it's just extremely awkward. Everything about this job on this roof with this 40-degree pitch is just super difficult. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I've got them all down, and then now we just tidy up any loose cables. Usually on the sides there might be some cables, could be dangling on the roof, so then we just got some stainless steel clips and we just clip them up so all the cables are all nice and neat and tucked up away up high next to the panel. You don't want any cables touching the roof, like dangling down. That's pretty common on an older system. If you go to a old system, they've used plastic cable ties. Some of the cable ties have disintegrated or died and fallen apart, and all the panels are just all the cables are just all over the place on the ground, and then that's how you can get faults down the track, because then they're going to get a lot more water on them because they're touching the roof, and then leaves and dirt and all sorts of stuff, and then next thing you know you've got a fault in the roof. And then so now we just go down, check the voltage and insulation resistance test, make sure there's no faults, and that's it.